Dano was killed in practice the morning of the race there. And unfortunately, over the years, it has happened too many times. Tony Rennan at Indy in a private practice. Greg Moore in 1999 at the season finale in Fontana. 99 in September, Gonzalo Rodriguez at practice during a race at Laguna Seca. Scott Brayton, of course, in 1996, practicing after he had won the pole for the Indianapolis 500. There is also the fact that Dan, who won the second time at Indy this year, he's not the first to have his life ended later in the season. In 1920, Gaston Chevrolet, he was killed later in November at a race in Beverly Hills. In 1929, Ray Keach won the race, and then June, he was killed at Altoona. 1946, George Robson, he later was killed at a race in Atlanta.
See all the drivers now, they're going to do that 5-lap tribute, as you mentioned, Marty, and it'll be one of the most emotional laps, 5 laps that they've ever done in their life, simply from the fact that they are going out there not to compete, but to give a tribute to a dear friend and colleague that has been killed today. And you're not putting your helmet on and your visor down and going into race mode. You're going out there for a tribute, and there's no doubt there will be tears shed behind the visor of all the drivers that are out there.
Chip Ganassi talking there, and the man on the right is Don the Snake Prudhomme, a legendary drag racer. He is a huge IndyCar fan, and he's seen too much of this in his lifetime as well. Let's take you back. If you're just tuning in, we're going to take you back and give you the full, complete version of Randy Bernard's official announcement just a few minutes ago.
IndyCar is very sad to announce that Dan Wheldon has passed away from unsurvivable injuries.
Okay, and obviously you heard Rick DeBrule. He was trying to get us to get down there quickly to get the announcement of the official position of the league, and we did catch the tail end of it where they had said that this race will not continue and the drivers will do a 5-lap tribute. There's Sarah Fisher. Just 2 weeks ago, she was on top of the world. Ed Carpenter had just given her first victory as a team owner, winning over Dario Franchitti by oh so close a margin. And how quickly everyone's emotions and feelings change as here we are 2 weeks later, and as we said, we were going to celebrate not only a championship, but a Rookie of the Year championship, Danica's farewell, and maybe Dan winning $5 million if he could have won this race.
And as we watch this, Marty, we said this before, this sport is a natural high when you drive. It gives you the highest highs, but also has the lowest lows. And you don't understand that until you're involved in the sport. And as we see Dario Franchitti here, I mean, it pulls your gut out in this scenario. And overall, it's going to be a case where all the drivers are going to remember this. And it's tough. It's the last race of the year, Eddie, and it's something that they'll carry forward.
I think it really is a beautiful statement to his life that they're going to do that now. They're going out now.
They took him to the hospital.
They're going to run those 5 laps.
As we see Tony Kanaan, who probably knew Dan best as far as all the drivers were concerned, got in his car early and was just sitting there contemplating, and as I mentioned, tears probably just coming down with the emotions, but how can you contain them?
Racing has lost a great champion, not just IndyCar, but an incredible driver with an amazing record at the Indy 500, but an enthusiasm for the sport that was very difficult to find.
Just saw Elio Castroneves there. I heard him doing an interview earlier this weekend. As you look at Oriole Survey, there's Elio. And he said, it's never the fear of being on the track. He said, my fear is not having a ride. He said, I love this so much. I just don't ever want to lose that ride.
And that's why drivers put their foot on the gas. They don't lift. And you talk about the racing that we have here and how crazy it is at the very beginning of it, but as race drivers, you drive as hard as you can, whether it's the first few laps, the middle laps, or the last few laps, and that's what we are instilled to do. It starts off when you start very young, Eddie, as you and I have discussed, and you go through all the different formulas that you race at, and you want to compete, you want to win, and you're not just like that on the racetrack. You're a competitor, and everything that you do, you want to do it better than the other person.
Guys, I want to let everybody at home know, obviously this crash has aired probably on every news outlet already across the board, and yes, it is a tragic situation in a day. I want to give you the opportunity at home, if you do not want to see this crash again, go ahead and turn away. We're going to go through it one more time, because it really is not the safer barrier, but it's the catch fence that does so much damage in this, to not just Dan's car, but to so many of the others. And this is in slow motion from high above.
Now all the drivers are very crowded going into this corner, 3 abreast. One of them touches, goes sideways, Scott, and then mayhem.
And this is what we talked about before. At these speeds at 220 miles an hour, Eddie, you're going the length of a football field in less than a second. And you don't plan your next move at this speed. As you can now see, the cars starting to go one over each other, and they'll start to get up towards the catch fence. And those are the ones, the catch fences, that do the damage. The safer walls we've improved really helps dissipate the energy when the cars hit. But it's the catch fencing that's above the safer barriers that these cars got.
That
Highways cars start to climb up and over, and as further cars continue to come into frame, you'll see cars starting to slide through and jump into the air, and now watch towards the catch fence, and the car now goes up, it's airborne, and
turns
it gets
the wrong way,
and it gets into the catch fencing with the cockpit area first, which is something that you just cannot be prepared for.
And there's nothing you can actually do with them. I mean, there's nothing you can do. The drivers are put into position. There's nothing they can do. Here it's in slow motion, but you can see how it arrives.
And the parts are going everywhere, and as a driver, you're trying to miss the large pieces, the cars themselves, and parts are falling out of the sky. You really don't know where to go or what to do, and if you escape this and you get through it, you sort of pinch yourself when you're on the far side of it and said, I made it. And unfortunately, some did not.
last angle on this that we will show you as
very painful to watch.
it is. It's heart-wrenching. You know these people as competitors, as sometimes they're angry with what you say about them on the air, but trust me, when there's these moments, there it is right there, and that's the impact you were talking about, Scott. Cockpit towards the catch fence. Another view from Danica's car, as she was one of the 19 that managed to make it through.
She's on the lower part of the track, which was a good position to be in, but she had the bird's eye view of everything from here.
And as we heard her say earlier in this telecast, that she thought things were just getting a little bit crazy. She had eased off the throttle, not something that race car drivers do, but she just felt uncomfortable. Had something about it, a sixth sense, if you will, and turned around and just gave herself a little bit more breathing space, which is something that worked out very well for her.
Charlie Kimball's view, he was in the middle lane, had nowhere to go.
And a car went right over the top of him.
And there's another car flying over the top.
Literally, I've been in these accidents, there's nothing you can do. Once it starts to happen, the momentum has to just play itself out.
The number 77, Dan Wheldon's car number today, has now been put at the top of the scoring pylon here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And the tribute lap as the cars are beginning to form as we salute Dan Wheldon.
Service